What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new Resident Evil 4 Remake discussion video. In the last video we talked about how the remake is coming, let's be honest. It's all but confirmed at this point. And we talked about what you should expect, what the most likely kind of things that will be added to the game will be, how it will play, content. We talked about a lot of things. And if you're interested in that video, I'll leave a link in the description so you can go check it out. But today, we're going to flip the coin slightly. And there is a big amount of people out there who enjoy Resident Evil 4, who, again, see it as the best in the series, who do not want a remake. And, I get it, I understand that, this is a game that is held in such a high regard by a lot of people that remaking it, even if it's a successful remake, it could kind of not be, and it could not be as good, it will not. Some people will say it isn't as good, just straight out the gate, and it's got some boots to fill, is what I'm trying to say. It has big boots to fill, and today we're going to go over, the potential reasons why it isn't necessary to remake the game, and these are obviously ideas that most people will kind of say are the reasons why it shouldn't be, which again, I completely get. I agree with most of the reasons that people say it shouldn't be remade. I think that now it's guaranteed, because again, because of the leak that happened before Village's release, there is a lot of evidence that this is coming, and there is kind of being held onto with Capcom. Obviously, to kind of explain what I mean by that, is the 3 remake was outsourced to a separate studio, and it didn't do as well as people wanted it to. But with the 4 remake, they are fully working on it. Like the 2 remake is in their hands, they are doing it, so if they were to do it correctly, you probably have the most confidence knowing that it is solely with them. But anyway, let's get into what people think, their reasoning behind a remake not happening and why they think it's not the best idea in the world, and kind of discuss, these reasons and why they do actually make sense. But again, before we get started, be sure to leave a like on the video, turn on notifications, and subscribe. We upload every single day, stream at the weekends. Yes, I'm using Facecam again. Let me know if you want to see more of it or not, because I don't really mind. I usually only do it for streams, and I haven't been doing it in videos lately because it's been ridiculously warm in England. So I've been kind of slumped and chilling while recording, but now it's kind of cooled down again. I guess I can bring it back if everyone wants it to. If not, if you don't want to look at me, that's totally fine. But anyway, let's get into it. So the main thing I see online, looking at, why the game shouldn't be remade, or, the risk or the kind of bad things about it being remade, is the charm of the game. And this is not the gameplay, this is not the graphics, they are 2 different things we'll get to in a minute. This is the characters and the voice acting and the set pieces and stuff like that. If you play Resident Evil 4, which I'm sure, anyone watching this video, because they are talking about the remake, have played the original, you'll know that it's cheesy, that the lines are just ridiculous, but it makes sense in the moment. Like, let me try to explain. A bad thing happens, a joke is made, the joke connects, it makes you laugh or it just makes you cringe, either way, and then you're back to fighting monsters. Like, it's how they did it in this game is like, it's perfect. Like, when it is there, it's fine, and they don't overdo it with it. Like, it's not out of place when they make jokes or say cringy lines, you know what I mean? So, there is that kind of part of the game. And with a remake, now this is going off of the pure kind of idea that because the game's so old and stuff like that, they'll probably want to redo the voice acting, just kind of make it sound better or something like that. I don't know if there's like a system where you can just make the old audio sound good, but saying that, there's potential that the lines are redone and therefore kind of revoiced by other people. I think what most people are kind of expecting is the Leon voice actor from the 2 remake to kind of do this as well. A lot of people want the original voice actor to do it. Is that a possibility? Of course it is. It is a possibility. but if they decide not to, the Leon actor from the 2 remake makes the most sense. But yeah, the main reason behind the remake being a risk is it might lose that charm, you know, the voice actors being different, potentially the voice lines in the game being changed, it might lose the same feel it had initially, and I get that, you know. For example, let me just throw this out there, I love Resident Evil 5, right, I think it's great, and I know people will be like, what the fuck, why do you love Resident Evil 5? I love it, alright, I think it's great, it was fun, I've played it through a billion times, and I really like that game. I personally hold 5 in higher regard to 4. Not because 4 is a bad game, I love 4, it is in the top 5, but Resident Evil 5, at least, you know, when I was like in high school and stuff like that, that was the game that really got me into the series. Like, I played it with a friend of mine through school, and we played it like all the way through the night. Obviously that was a co-op game, and that kind of got me into the series, and then I played all the other games, and, you know, I got hooked from there. But anyway, back to Resident Evil 5. If, and this is a massive if, because I don't think it'll happen, if 5 was to be remade, and believe it or not, there's some lines in that as well that are kind of dumb, stuff like that. If that was to be remade and changed, I wouldn't be happy about it, like, because, you know, I grew up playing the game, I know what the game's like, I still play it to this day, and, you know, having it change all of a sudden, it would be weird. So I completely get the whole tone of the game changing, and it is a risk, it is absolutely a risk, and that is the most prominent reason I see for the game in terms of a remake. But moving on, we have the gameplay. Gameplay is an interesting one. As you know, this is a tank control game. Essentially what that means is you aim and shoot stationary, and then you kind of like, you turn like this, kind of. It's not as bad as it was in the originals, you know. It's still quite fluid, but you know, you dodge by stepping back and stuff like that. And honestly, I quite like how this plays. It is the same in RE5, they are kind of the same. There's a slight difference between the two, but they're vaguely different. It's basically the same thing. But again, this is an interesting point to make people love this type of control, and you know, old man's up and I love it too. I think it's super old school and I love it. Again, with a remake, and I mentioned this briefly in the other video, it'll change to how RE2 plays and how RE3 play remake was. It'll be a fluid third-person shooter. Again, could take away some of the tension because of your ability to move in certain areas, especially the opening with the million enemies you fight. I think, obviously, Village has the same kind of opening to the game, and that's a first-person shooter. And you know, I think they did that quite well. You know, obviously the Lycans are a bit more aggressive than the villagers in this game, but it still felt kind of tense, so it could work, but people like the old school controls. So what I mentioned was, what would be cool is, yes, update the controls and how you play, obviously for a newer audience and stuff like that, but give people the option to switch back to these tank controls and, you know, play it old school, you know, add the control scheme just as old school and bring it back to how it was, you know. The game could still look beautiful, and we'll get to that in a minute about how the game looks right now. But you'd still be able to play in an old school feel, and hopefully the enemies, obviously AI might be a little bit updated, it's a bit more responsive, but if you really want to play in that old way, you can do so. And maybe because of the like improved AI and stuff like that, it'll be a bit more of a challenge, which is awesome, because if you play Resident Evil, you know, all the time, the challenge, making the game challenging for yourself is part of the replayability, and having the game be more challenging is honestly just, I'm all for it, basically. So now we've covered the main two parts of why people don't think a remake is ideal, obviously the gameplay and the kind of the tone of the game. We're going to get into the more nitpick little things, and first up, this is visuals. This game is old. Keep that in mind, it is pretty old. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but it's old, I know that much. I was playing this on Nintendo Wii, around a friend's house once, that's how old it is. But visually, look at it now, like, this still looks really good, it looks amazing. It has that brown tint that a lot of games seem to have back then. I remember Dead Space, the original Dead Space, which is also being remade now, which I'll probably discuss in the future. That also had this brown tint going on, and I quite like it. I quite like it. But yeah, the game still looks good. It still kind of has the atmosphere of a spooky game, because obviously Resident Evil 4 was kind of the start of the move away from horror. It still had those aspects in it, in terms of tension, but in terms of actual spookiness and jump scares and creepy things, it wasn't as heavy as the first three. But graphically and just visually in general, it looks really good. The enemy design is really cool. Some of the enemies you fight, like the regenerators and the bosses, like Salazar's final form and Sadler's final form. I almost said Salazar for some reason. Sadler's final form all look really, really cool. And yes, I'm fine with the game being visually updated. Keep the tone, keep the brown theme. That would be pretty cool, Obviously that was kind of a trend at that time, but keep that going, because that's pretty cool. But again, people think it looks good how it is, and I have to agree, it does look really, really good for how old it is. So, again, I don't think that's much of a concern, other than just a thing people say that, it still looks good how it is, you don't really need to change it. But, it's a remake, so it is going to look visually different, I would imagine. But yeah, we've briefly gone over some kind of reasons why people don't want a remake of this game today. As always, leave your thoughts down below. Do you want to see a Resident Evil 4 remake? I mean, I don't think we really have a choice at this point. I think it's coming, whether we like it or not. But, is it something you ever wanted to see? Is it something, you don't deem necessary? Are you new to the series and feel like the remake would be a good intro for you? I would recommend playing this first, if a remake is coming, so you can kind of get the feel for it originally and then see what the difference is when it gets remade. But if you're not a fan of the controls, or if you think the game's too old, or you're not into the old games, then just wait for the remake and play it then, because I'm sure, story-wise and stuff like that is going to be the same. But as always, leave your thoughts down below, and that's going to wrap it up. Remember to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are brand new to not miss a video. We upload Resident Evil content every single day and stream at weekends. Starting tomorrow, well, today, what day is it? Today, there would have been a stream already. I completely lost track of days. It is Saturday, so there would have been a stream already, and hopefully everyone enjoyed that who came by. And there'll be another stream tomorrow, and I'm thinking we'll do the Chris DLC for 7 tomorrow, so that'll be pretty interesting. But anyway, thank you for watching. Again, leave your thoughts down below, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video.